Well, I'm going to talk about comics. There we go. All right, that's what if you can't get a hand for comics, what can you get a hand for? All right. You don't want that. Okay. All right, we'll start with this, but great. Okay, my name's Calvin Reid. I'm a senior news editor at Publishers Weekly, and my job is to write about the book industry. But one of the things I've been able to do, and I've been at Publishers Weekly for a long time, a very long time, is I've sort of been able to turn my avocation, my great interest, a passion of mine, comics, into my job, or part of my job. And one of the things I do at PW is I write about comics and graphic novel publishing. And that has been a terrific magical act for me. I kind of pulled that out of a hat. It wasn't really something that my editors were wanted me to do or expected me to do, but I think if you're a comics fan out there, I think you know that we live in a time now where we've been able to sort of infiltrate and sort of make people pay attention to this fantastic and amazing medium, and we've seen it over the last 10 or 20 years maybe grow even beyond the incredible means of communication and entertainment that it has always been. But we've seen it expand into the numbers of genres it can do, the kinds of things that it can do, and what my talk today is, and I think that the title was called iGraphics, talking about comics in the post-publishing era. What I mean is that we're in the comics industry in this country has gone through a number of sort of business model changes over its 80 or so years as a commercial venture. Comics started as newspaper strips. Eventually they became the traditional comic books that we know in the 1930s. It was a newsstand business. By the 1970s, the direct market, the comic shop markets that the comic shops that we know today, essentially specialty stores for comics. Essentially, though, it's been a periodical business. In the 2000s, we were starting to see it morph into a different kind of business as the book publishing industry became more and more important, and book format comics have become more important. And of course, the digital transition, digital distribution, which has created a whole new kind of drive for comics. Because what's driven comics in this country in the past has tended to be more often the business model and not always so much the artist. So obviously the artists have had a tremendous impact. But we seem to live in an era now, thanks to the internet, digital distribution, and of course social media, where we're seeing that the ability for the artists themselves to really drive the development of personal comics, to go beyond purely commercial ventures, to create other kinds of work, and also in a time where digital has somewhat intimidated the traditional conventional publishing industry, both the book industry and the comics industry, leaving sometimes not as many destabilizing conventional publishing means, but on the other hand, opening up new ways. And those new ways are through self-publishing and through artists. So what I'm trying to do in this long, rambling discourse here is really talk about some of the artists and some of the ways that artists are directly reaching their readers using social media, using digital distribution, using web comics in particular, and not only creating new and interesting works, but also creating amazing communities offline that support that as well, from audiences to fellow artists. One guy I really want to talk about is Dean Haspiel, who's a wonderful comics artist, has worked for all the big publishers, has also done incredibly creative work, autobiographies with Harvey Pekar. But he started, in 2006, he started a site called Activate, which is really a combination of here, let me see if I can find that. Have I lost that? Here we go. Which is really a combination of a community of artists looking to create work, offer it for free to a reading public, do work that perhaps commercial publishers, in many cases commercial publishers don't want to publish, and reach an audience, but at the same time create this offline community of artists who, I mean, reading comics and making comics are solitary activities, just like reading and writing. But once those two polar opposites in, you come together in the real world. And he's created this amazing venue for artists to come together. And Activate, which is his first venture and included a number of artists whose names I'm embarrassed to have forgotten some of them, Dan Goldman, Josh Newfail, and many others. It includes now about 30 different artists. As you can see here, I'm going to find some of Dean's pieces. Let's see if I can. Billy Dogma is a wonderful personal strip by him. Billy Dogma is sort of his alter ego, what he calls his way to kind of recreate his own love life in many ways, and the intensity of it through these surrealistic surrealistic romantic anti-hero. And Billy Dogma is a hilarious and nonsensical character who seems to go straight to the heart. So that's one thing he does. I would encourage you to go to Activate. But there's so many other guys here that I almost can't go through all of them, and I want to go through some of the others. Hold on. Excuse me. All right. Among those, now his new site, which I really want to get to, is, let's see if I can find it. No, okay. Excuse the wait here. I've somehow, here we go. Trip City, another great site by Dean. This is a site that he curated that is really, it's taken a step beyond Activate, where it's comics as well, but it's also a multimedia site curated, once again, by a terrific group of artists. See if I got some names here so that I don't leave anybody out. Among them, let's see, for Activate, people like, let's see, Nick Bertozzi, Michelle Fife, Leland Purvis, Nikki Cook, Dan Hamilton, Josh Newfell, terrific comics. And over on Trip City, I think you'll find Jennifer Hayden is another terrific creator. Just to give you some of the names of some of the artists on there. But Trip City is another site of web comics that really are all over the place. Jennifer Hayden's comics are about her life and with her daughter, and also she also has other comics on Activate that are really about her bout with breast cancer and how she dealt with it, how she talks about it, how she talks to herself, and how she tries to use her experience to help others. But really, the sites are able to create comics across all kinds of genres, and I mean that's one of the beauties of this new era and the ability of artists to kind of take their publishing in their own hands, and in many cases create new commercial opportunities for themselves, but also just to do work that perhaps they could never have done otherwise. There's more. Excuse my slight or apparent disorganization. One of the other incredible venues or ways to create comics right now is through Kickstarter. Now, obviously, I'm sure to this group that's no revelation, but Kickstarter at Publishers Weekly about a year ago, we did a story. Is Kickstarter the #3 graphic novel publisher in the U.S.? And by that we mean that we started to see, and everyone started to see, that Kickstarter was being used to really fund some extraordinary comics. And in many ways, they were funding, in the course of a month, more comics than, say, Vertigo or Dark Horse, who are some of the primary publishers of creative material. So at Kickstarter, we wanted to particularly talk about Womanthology, which managed to raise $100,000 to fund an anthology of over 140 female creators. And I should say the creator of that comic, Reid is actually ill right now, and as happens all the time, very often, does not have health insurance. She, yep, there you go. Anyway, she could use some help. Womanthology is a fabulous effort. Give it your support if you can. There you go. Running out of time, but there's so many more online that I wasn't able to talk about, but they're there they'll be easy for you to find.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, John.